Thank you, Daniela. It is time for the headliner presented by Miller Lite. Let's bring in Tiger pitcher Kyle Funkhouser. Kyle, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
I'm kind of curious. Now, I don't know if you're a Curb Your Enthusiasm fan or not, but your last name is Funkhouser, and there's a real famous character named Funkhouser, Marty Funkhouser, in that. Do you hear that a lot, or is that part of when people come up to you? Do they say anything about your last name?
Yeah, I've gotten that reference a few times, kind of going back to the college days. I was gonna say I'm not a watcher, haven't watched it. I'm familiar with the reference now because I did a little research, but no, I'm not a watcher. I don't watch the show, but yeah.
Let's talk about this opportunity you have with the Tigers. I know during spring training and then in summer training here, you were kind of pitching for a spot on this roster. What do you think turned it around? What turned your game around?
Oh, really? Going home, after spring training in March, whenever that was, March 15th or something, whenever that exact date was. Obviously came into spring training, ready, pretty hungry. Obviously being added to the 40 man is kind of a different game. Like you said, you're kind of trying out for the team at that point. And had some ups and downs in spring training. And then, yeah, really went home and kind of tried to, not reinvent myself. If anything, go back in time and try to, be loose and have some fun and watch some video from kind of when I had a lot of success, continual success, in college and early in my pro career. Tried to, do some side-by-sides and compare and contrast and talking with some of the pitching coaches and, like I said, Juan Nieves, Dan Hubbs, some of those guys really broke down and we kind of eventually got to the point that we think my arm action is too long. Over time, it had gotten longer and just kind of created some drag in my mechanics, which, had a little bit of a shoulder issue last year and kind of think all of that was related, kind of the lack of consistency, maybe a little bit the lack of health, all kind of stemmed from that reason where my arm was getting too long and causing drag.
It's interesting. I saw a Zoom press conference of you. I think it was after one of the inter squad games where it was. I thought it was interesting. You did, spring training might not have been the greatest experience for you. So you go home and you got away from baseball. If I remember correctly, you're playing board games with your roommates and your girlfriend. And can you talk about how maybe getting away from something in the long run actually helps you?
Yeah. Obviously, baseball is a pretty mental game. And, in any aspect of life, if you get inside your head too much, you think about stuff too much, a lot of times you start pressing, start overthinking, overanalyzing every little detail. So, yeah, getting away from the game, obviously, as kind of coronavirus was ramping up and starting to affect, large areas at a large capacity, kind of knew that baseball was going to be, gone for a month or two, a couple months it had seemed at the minimum. So yeah, just got home and took a couple weeks to kind of reset and really just kind of adhere to the coronavirus rules and, go to the grocery store and kind of just be a normal guy for a couple weeks. Like I said, played a lot of cards, just spent a lot of time inside, just trying to, like you said, get away, kind of clear my mind. And then, when I started to get back into weighted balls and stuff, that was really when I started to kind of put old video and new video and kind of put it all together and kind of, again, kind of vamp my arm action slowly, one day at a time. And then, as a week went by, 2 weeks, it started to feel a little bit cleaner, a little bit quicker. And then eventually being able to throw with a partner and then long toss and getting back on the mound as baseball talks were starting to get back into it. Spring training might be, next couple weeks, stuff like that. Started to throw bullpens and kind of get ready. And like I said, it just everything felt a little bit cleaner. I was, loading better, clearing my backside, getting through to my front side, just way cleaner. And it kind of, I guess directly impacted when I came to summer camp. I threw a bullpen and it was like really good. And Andy was like, Rick Anderson was like, that's like maybe the best I've ever seen you in a bullpen, you know. And then a couple of days later, I threw a live BP, and that went really well. And then, you know, like I said, got some game action, and that went well, and was just trying to make little adjustments here, there, you know, tweak a little bit with, you know, the slider and stuff like that. But at that point, it was like the big changes were kind of past.
So did you know, when did you notice the change? Was it that first bullpen session when you got up here to summer camp that, hey, it's going to start clicking for me, that break, whatever, everything now seems to be coming to fruition?
I felt it a little bit when I was at home. When I was long tossing and stuff, like I said, it just kind of felt a little different, like a little cleaner, a little smoother. But yeah, obviously when I was at home throwing, even getting off the mound, it's different, like not being here in Detroit and the coaches and everything. So obviously you get kind of that adrenaline, you know, rush basically. So in that first bullpen, I felt like the ball was really coming out of my hand well. And I could kind of feel it then. And, you know, obviously feeling something and you thinking something is good doesn't always translate. But getting kind of immediate feedback from, you know, the catcher and Rick and, you know, Pico, like they're like, wow, that was really good. And it seemed like the ball, you know, you had some zip on your ball. And obviously I wasn't at home with a radar gun and stuff. And so that was kind of like, again, really reassuring. Like I said, I felt really good, but it was good to get some good results and have the coaches kind of, again, notice, yeah, wow, he does look kind of different. And that does seem like a little bit sharper. And so, yeah, that kind of immediate feedback from the coaches was kind of an initial really strong boost of confidence and kind of readiness to then start face hitters.
What's that feeling like on a personal level, though, for you? I mean, you know, you're getting positive feedback, and you know, the Tigers are, if anybody knows anything about the Detroit Tigers, it's that they seem to have a bunch of pitching prospects. You know, there's competition all over the place. I would imagine that jolt of confidence has really boosted, you know, your level of play and maybe your mental level as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously, like I said, when I was at home, you know, working kind of by myself out in the, you know, for a couple of weeks, I was throwing weighted balls against a brick wall in an alley because that's all I had, really. So obviously, baseball is a great game, but kind of getting taken away, like kind of in a flash in spring training. Obviously, again, made some adjustments, but also really missed the game and was just kind of coming back out here trying to have some fun. But yeah, it's having success in the past and then, you know, having failures and then kind of up and down, you know, the last kind of year and a half, obviously, you know, sucked and like I said, had some struggles, but kind of hitting the reset button, it seemed like, yeah, mentally and physically getting away from the game when we really should have been playing. And I think that was like kind of the most, I guess, relaxing part of it. It was obviously very weird in Chicago, you know, being in my apartment in Chicago and in May at home. I hadn't done that since high school. Obviously being away at college for 4 years and then immediately signing and then spring training. And I hadn't been in Chicago in May in years. So it was obviously different, but yeah, just found some things and came out here and was just like, you know, ready to have some fun and ready to play.
You know, your approach when you're on the bump, I mean, I know the catcher's giving you a signal, it's your game, you can throw whatever pitch you want. Is it more of isn't that just one-on-one mental game? Not that you're sitting there staring down the hitter, but I would guess maybe the real competitive nature, what's really fun about what you do being a major league pitcher is that one-on-one battle that you're having with each and every hitter. I guess that adrenaline rush, it probably doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, I mean, baseball is a very individualized team game. Obviously, it's a team game, but just about everything's one-on-one. You know, pitcher versus hitter, and then, you know, even running the base, you know, you hit a ball in the gap, then it becomes outfielder versus base runner. You know, it's very individualized. But yeah, I mean, obviously we study other hitters, other teams, But yeah, another thing is game flow. I mean, your best pitch might not be the same every day. Every time you go out there, your best pitch is your slider. Well, sometimes you're not going to have much of a feel for a slider. So you're going to have to make an adjustment, hitter to hitter or outing to outing. So yeah, I think I answered your question. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it's just, I mean, like I said, you're kind of going to battle with every hitter, and you just try to, like you said, get your adrenaline and kind of try to hone that, and get the guy out and on to the next guy.
You started on the road, obviously a good series in Cincinnati, taking 2 out of 3. Now a 4-game series. You're in the midst of a 4-game series with Kansas City. Can you describe the mindset of this team in a 60-game schedule? I would imagine if I were a Detroit Tiger, and I'm a lifelong Tiger fan here, and I would say, why not the Tigers? Why not us? Anything can happen in this schedule.
Yeah, I mean, obviously only playing the Central, the division opponents 10 games, and then the NL 5 games each. Adds a little bit of obviously we're not going to play every team, so we're going to get pretty familiar with certain teams. But yeah, it's like you said, it's a sprint. Like you said, why not us? I mean, it was a little bit, obviously I had never had a opening day in the major leagues before, but things felt a little weird, Friday and even into Saturday. But obviously after yesterday's win, kind of a sigh of relief almost. It was very fun after post game in the clubhouse, very fun on the plane. Guys were loose, joking around and having a good time. And it really seemed like yesterday was kind of not a turning point, but the season started to feel real. As of, like I said, post game yesterday, obviously, the first couple of games mattered and guys played well and we did some good things. But yeah, yesterday was kind of that like first initial kind of loosening up of, the regular season. And like you said, why not us? We've, just beat a good team 2 out of 3. We're feeling pretty good and, headed back home and, ready to play, like you said, not necessarily in front of a home crowd, but ready to play at home, like you said, with the white jerseys and the old English D, the guys are ready.
This is, I mean, your buddies, you're in competition. The Tigers have a lot of pitching prospects, but what kind of dynamic is it among you guys? Because you're friends, yet you're competing against one another. Are there certain guys that you gravitate to? Are you and Bo Burrows good buddies, or Matt Manning, or you talk to Casey Mize? I mean, how is that dynamic?
Yeah, no, it's a great dynamic, really. Last year, obviously that Erie team was really stacked. Casey Mize, Matt Manning, Anthony Castro, who's back with us today. Tarek Skubal came on really late, really strong. It's obviously there's a lot of talent around, a lot of different personalities, but it seems like for the most part all the guys are kind of meshing, watching each other's bullpens, really trying to learn, and just obviously competition brings out the best in everyone, whether it's opposing competition or friendly competition. Competition's a great thing, some guys rise up to it, and some guys don't. And but just to be able to learn and see all the different individualized players kind of come together, it's great. Yeah, me and Bo have a great relationship. Obviously, we've played together for a couple of years now, and then getting a chance to play, in the major leagues together. We're obviously the rookies, the day one guys. So yeah, we kind of try to stick together a little bit, and we're familiar. But the veterans have done a great job of, accepting, and kind of showing us the ropes and helping us out. And even going back to the spring, like I said, the veterans were doing a great job, and it flowed right into summer camp and then right into the season. So it's been a great dynamic, and honestly, like I said, a great experience for some of the younger guys. And I wouldn't say I'm necessarily an older guy, but 26 now, compared to the Mannings and the Mizes, 21, 22, 23, to kind of learn from the young guys a little bit, in terms of Casey's very analytical. He's really pitch design, TrackMan type stuff, and I learned I definitely learned some things from him doing that. So yeah, we have, like I said, we have a pretty great relationship. Everybody really, I like all the guys.
All right, major league debut. What's it going to mean to you when you step on the bump for the first time in the Old English D and you're in the major leagues?
It's going to be a special moment. Obviously, it's going to be a little different, like I said, with the whole coronavirus thing and no fans and no family. Usually, guys debut, their family's there. So that'll be a little different, but just a dream come true. A lot of hard work and dedication, with myself and family and coaches, all kind of, cashed in basically. Yeah, like I said, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be special, and I'm excited and ready for it.
Well, we're excited to see you in the Old English D and perform for the Tigers. Kyle Funkhouser, thanks a lot for joining us here on the Headliner today. Best of luck. Really happy for Kyle Funkhouser. Looking forward to him in a Tiger uniform, as I said. Back to you, Daniela. This is the Headliner, brought to you by Miller Lite. It's the original light beer. It tastes great. It's only 96 calories, and it's available for delivery.